Sanibonani Mzansi. I am your host Candice Kumalo and I welcome you to another episode of the Health from Mzansi podcast. Whether you're braaiing in Mpumalanga, hustling in Hillbrow or chilling in Cape Town, Health from Mzansi is all you need to tackle anything life throws your way. Guys, it's still the month of love and today we're tackling a tough topic, knowing when it's time to walk away from a relationship. Let's face it, breakups are brutal, but sometimes they're necessary. In this episode, we'll hear from Tsholofelo Mngxali, a relationship coach who will explore the red flags and the signs that might be telling you it's time to say goodbye. Welcome, Tsholofelo. It's such an honor to be chatting to you today. Tell us a bit about yourself and what it is that you do, please.
My name is Tsholofelo Mngxali. I'm a relationship coach. Basically, what I do, Candice, I am passionate about relationships. I'm passionate about helping people bridge the communication barriers and gaps that we find, be it romantic relationship, professional relationships, or relationships we have with our family and friends. So that's human capital development in various forms that I'm very passionate about. And that's in essence what I do in terms of my passion and what, I've decided to explore. However, I am formally also employed as an business operations manager, and there's also such a diverse role. And I'm able to use my relationship coaching skills, expertise, and knowledge also in that space because I'm very much involved with making sure that the connections stay alive between the team and in recruitments, to that effect. So in a nutshell, that's what I do.
Thank you so much for that lovely intro, Tsulu. Yes, it's the month of love, but not everything is always gloomy, right? So I guess let's go straight into the not so gloominess of today's topic. When is it time to walk away from a relationship? So Tsulu, beyond the red flags, what are some subtle but important signs that might signal a relationship is not serving someone's long-term needs or values?
Thank you that we're having, uncomfortable conversations, even in the month of love, which it could be controversial to discuss such, but it's the reality. So basically, subtle but, very obvious red flags as well. It's if you have a partner that is perhaps not supporting your goals. Say, for instance, you are studying towards something or trying to upskill yourself in some way to obtain a certain role and they're just not supporting you, they belittling you, or there's different ways they sabotage you, for instance, disrupting your schedule, the time that you set aside to explore your goals, and just being very condescending towards you and criticizing you as though what your needs are something that is a minor thing to them, like why would you want to be exploring a certain thing, and they're just really ignoring your needs flat out. So, those are very subtle ways, but it's also very obvious signs that, this is really a red flag and it really won't serve someone long term in terms of your core needs and values.
Do you believe there are other dynamics of the relationship like long distance or blended families that tend to influence the decision of when to walk away?
The long distance and blended families, those are, relationships that need a heightened level of communication, extra effort, because they are even more complicated. Yes, your normal, what we will call somewhat normal. It all requires communication and trust. However, these require extra effort. And if you think about maybe the long-term vision and the goals that you have within that relationship, and you feel as though, when you look at this relationship, these goals might not be achieved. Your goals are not aligning. Your vision of this family, of this long-distance relationship, it's really not aligning. Those are also the signs to encourage one to walk away. And also, there's lots of compromises that people have in relationships, and it doesn't even strain a person if it is being reciprocated. However, if you feel as though your efforts are not being reciprocated and that you're getting the short end of the stick, then definitely that's also a sign to walk away, and sooner rather than later, because it's even more complicated in a blended family when there are kids involved. So even wait at a late stage to introduce children to that situation. However, if they're there it's all about communication and trust. And if that is lacking and you're not touching base with each other as a couple and also as that blended family unit, then it's definitely not going to be sustainable long term.
Tulu, that brings me to another question. Obviously, challenges will always be there and creep in, right? So instead of an immediate relationship exit, what steps can people take to remediate the situation?
I definitely try to encourage before, we're very quick these days, the buzzword red flags. Let's try to explore avenues for reconciliation first. There's professional assistance and guidance in the form of relationship coaches that people could consult with, have deep and meaningful conversations as a couple to really explore that what is maybe the barrier here and what is the challenge, and is it possible for people to compromise with each other or accommodate each other, understand, for instance, even each other's love languages and try to reciprocate it. Because if you're not talking about what's on your mind, we are not mind readers for each other. So it's very relevant as well for couples to have those uncomfortable conversations and ask each other all those relevant and uncomfortable questions as well.
And if that fails, Tulu, how can people safely exit the relationship and navigate the emotional journey of letting go, especially when fear and guilt are present?
We're human beings, we get attached, and it's not easy to leave. It's not at the snap of a finger. So, one needs to really ask themselves, how do you actually feel after being in your partner's presence? Your state of energy, are you left feeling low? And if you're feeling guilt or fear, then that's also, another obvious sign. Because if it's really even the right decision, yes, it's a hard one, but it is right for you and it sits well within your being. But also what's also important is for people to, practical steps start to also limit intimacy, because that can also cloud judgment and people can start to explore the concept of celibacy. Start surely to center yourself and distance yourself so that you can have, that space, that atmosphere to really reflect on the relationship and if it's really serving your purpose. So it's very important to do the introspection. And, it also comes down to loving yourself, because how are you going to love the next person if you don't really love yourself and honor yourself? And quite often we betray ourselves because we compromise too much and then we stay. And that is really not the way.
Thank you so much for mentioning such important and eye-opening points. So in closing, do you have any words of advice for someone who feels trapped or is struggling with making the decision of walking away in a relationship?
I'm also quite a very pragmatic person. I say, plan your exit. If, for instance, you are in a living situation with a partner, you need to practically think, how am I going to exit your living situation? Think about the budget. How are you going to navigate this? Where are you going from there after you exit? It's very important to think about this in a practical state. Ask yourself, are you willing to live the rest of your life in that current state of that relationship? And if the answer is no, then that is your key to open that gate that you have locked yourself in. And your emotional and mental state, if you feel that is, being compromised, then definitely that's also another telltale sign to help you fight your way and open that gate so you can exit this very toxic and unhealthy relationship. And if it's also wrongdoings on your part, you need to go work on yourself as well, so that with the next relationship or even with the current one, if it can be remediated, you're able to not, bring those toxic traits and habits back into the relationship.
Thank you for joining this week's episode of the Health from Mngxali podcast. To find out more on being the healthiest version of yourself, visit healthfromzansi.co.za, or you can send us an email to hello@healthfromzansi.co.za. This is the Health from Mngxali podcast, and your ears are always invited. Mngxali lovebirds, watch out for the red flags, do introspection, and have the uncomfortable conversations with your partner. And also, always remember to make informed choices for your happiness. stay healthy and fancy. I am your host, Candice Khumalo. Until next time.